You're listening to His Empire of Dirt by Pearlandpine. Chapter 30. Michael Afton has a Merry Christmas. Henry Emily loves Christmas. Mike knows this very well. His uncle had always doted on every single person he came into contact with on Jesus' appropriated birthday. It honestly seemed less fueled by religion, though that was definitely the lumber that the kindling of hospitality was born from, and more driven by pure, unadulterated love for his family. He would get gifts for Mike, the rest of the Aftons, and shower every single present from every store in America upon the one and only Charlotte Emily, suffocating her with love. And Mike would watch, entirely jealous. Dad was not one to be upstaged, though, so the holiday became an odd, borderline disturbing competition, in which Dad would buy Mom the most expensive jewelry, gift Liz every single thing on her list, and Evan the stuffed toys that he loved, and Michael would be granted what he wanted, without love, but entirely out of spite. Uncle Henry, though, would arrive in a full Santa suit, a bag of presents over his shoulder, love abounding. Now, Mike falls out of his bed as a door bangs against the wall. He bolts to his feet, heaving, waiting to see what monstrosity had happened. But instead, Henry was just standing there, beaming, a Santa hat fixed atop his head. William had also rushed into the main room to see what was wrong, throwing his head back and groaning when he saw Henry's festive figure. Henry, still smiling, announces, "Boys, it's Christmas." It's not. It's Christmas Eve, but close enough. "Christ," William says, and Henry replies, "Precisely," and Mike laughs as William groans. They're both still hung over from the night before, in which the gang had celebrated the end of the semester and passing all of their classes by drinking a bit too much, of course, and smoking too, obviously, and going to bed far too late. Who wouldn't? "What happened?" Clara asks, rubbing her eyes as she exits William's bedroom. Mike reddens at the sight and turns away, and Bella exits the bathroom. "Oh, it's Christmas," she exclaims, clapping her hands together and rushing up to Henry. She kisses him on the cheek, and he laughs, a bit unintentionally like Santa Claus. Mike and William are going to Clara's house for Christmas this year, because Henry and his family are driving to his uncle's house for the holiday. William seemed dismayed to not be spending the holiday with Henry, but elated to not be spending it being attacked by children and questioned by Henry's parents. "We've all got to exchange presents." Henry goes to his bedroom and returns with a sack of presents, handing them to each denizen of the apartment. Mike opens his and sees that Henry's gotten him a sketchbook, a new one, with crisp pages. And Mike smiles so warmly that he thinks his entire body temperature rises. "Well, time to upstage you," William declares, and he's clearing his throat, because Henry had gotten him cufflinks for his suit, tiny lavender rabbits, and Mike thinks that Henry somehow must have had them custom-made, going into his bedroom. He has presented Clara with a beautiful necklace that Mike isn't sure how he has afforded. Bella, and Mike bursts out laughing, bong. Henry, an orange sweater, and Mike recognizes it as a sweater that Uncle Henry wears in the future, muted and thin, worn from the test of time. And then he hands Mike his present. He clears his throat. "Happy Christmas, Fritz." Merry Christmas. Well. Mike unwraps the present, and William rubs the back of his neck. "It's, well, my journal
is one of the few things that I believe helps my head.
He taps his head to emphasize.
So, I thought, perhaps it would help you as well. Make your brain less scary and the like.
Mike holds the leather-bound journal in his hands, flipping through the cream-colored pages, the inside of the cover bearing, in small ink, property of Fritz Smith. Mike smiles.
Thank you. Well, it's perfect. Thank you.
William finally untenses, as if he had been anxious that Mike would despise the present.
He awkwardly shifts. This is the first Christmas I've ever had something to receive. And something to give. It's odd. But good.
William laughs a bit.
Yeah. Very good.
Clara falters as they stand before her house's door. She's brushing off dust that doesn't exist, tentatively looking from William to Mike. My family, she says, combing her hair with her fingers, can be a lot. Do they know we're here? Mike asks. It was only an hour drive from campus to Clara's house, so he's only antsy from the prospect of meeting his other grandparents, not from the drive. Yeah, but honestly, they've probably forgotten. It won't be a bash, like it would be if we were just at the pad. Oh, Christ, this is probably a poor idea.
It will be lovely, dear,
William says, kissing the top of her head.
Come on, introduce us to Ord.
Christ, all right. Let's do this. She knocks rapidly on the door, and halfway through her third knock, the door flies open. On the other side of the door is someone that Mike recognizes as his grandparents only from photos that Mom had kept in the house. Her mother is blonde. That's where Liz must get it from. Frazzled and covered in flour. Her father's tall, round, mustached, and tired. Clara, where the hell have you been? Her mother says, grabbing Clara by the wrist and pulling her inside. She looks William and Mike up and down, unimpressed. You two boys strong?
Yes, Mom,
Mike says, and she grabs Mike and William and thrusts them into the house. You two, you help Robert and Laura bring the boxes downstairs.
Andrea, check the goddamn chicken in the goddamn oven!
Mr. Caputo groans and marches into the kitchen.
Andrea, you put the fucking pasta in the fucking water, so help me Christ.
Don't you use the Lord's name in vain on this holy day, Lorenzo.
Oh, so sorry, Camilla.
Strike me down, Lord, for I have sinned.
William manages to pull Mike to the side.
Fritz? Well, I think we're gonna die here.
I think so too.
It's been an absolute pleasure knowing you.
It's been alright.
Fuck you.
Yep.
Mike loses count of the number of cousins, aunts, and uncles that Clara has, most flown in from overseas. Clara lives here alone with her mother, father, and grandmother, so the house is utterly packed to the brim of loud Italians demanding 10 things at once from both Mike and William. It's only when Clara grabs the both of them before her mother can force them to taste test the pasta for literally the 22nd time and escorts them up the narrow staircase that Mike manages to catch his breath. Mike finally sympathizes with his mother's attachment to Dad in the future. This small house with several leaks and bills serendipitously piling up in a vase on the island of the kitchen reveals that Clara's family is barely scraping by. When William Afton finally offers her a semblance of peace in a large house and an income that allows her to live lavishly, Mike finds that he doesn't really blame her anymore. After only 2 hours in this house, he's utterly exhausted. I want you to meet Nana, Clara says with a sigh, wiping sweat from her forehead. My goddamn anchor.
Clara,
Love, William says, and he looks deathly serious when he says,
I think you are a superhero.
Yeah, Clara. Christ. I know,
she says, and she rests her head against William's chest out of pure exhaustion.
I'm sorry. I didn't think it would be bad this year because of Nana, but God, it's even worse. You both probably would have been better staying at the pad.
Introduce me to Matriarch Caputo. Please.
William requests, tugging her along. Clara sighs, nods, and puffs out her chest, and ventures down the hall. She softly knocks on a door and opens it after a moment, beckoning Mike and William forward. Nana? Hi. It's a bedroom. A large bookshelf full of poetry and classic literature on one side, a record player playing old Italian music near the bed, and a large window allowing dwindling sunlight in. An older woman is there, dressed in a baby blue dress, a white shawl over her shoulders, tapping her fingers against her wheelchair. Nana? Clara says a little louder, squatting down by her grandmother. She taps Nana on her shoulder to get her attention. Nana! Her grandmother picks up her head and smiles, and in a frail voice says, Clara. Clara's eyes light up in satisfaction and relief. I want you to meet my friends. She wheels her grandmother around to see Mike and William. This is my boyfriend, Will, and my friend, Fritz. Fratelli? She asks, and Clara shakes her head. No, Nana. Just friends. Fratelli. Clara sighs and nods. Yeah, Nana. Hello, Mom? Mike says, a bit nervously, because he's not sure he's ever met anyone as old as her. But William instantly puts on the charm and saunters forward. Hello, Bella? He says, and when she offers him his hand, he kisses the back of it, smiling.
Wonderful to meet you, Miss Caputo.
Luna.
Her voice is frail.
Bill?
Yep, that's me. Bill Afton.
She chuckles, and Mike thinks it's at his accent, so he laughs a bit too.
And this is my horribly uglier younger brother, Fritz.
Hello, Luna?
Mike punches Will on the arm as he takes a step forward and meagerly waves to Miss Caputo. Clara's grandmother taps Mike's chest with a feeble finger and rasps out, Buono. Good boy. Mike shakes a bit, replies with a tight grin, and nods. Thank you, Miss Caputo. Clara? For a second, she seems panicked, only calming when Clara returns to her line of sight, gently resting her hand on her grandmother's shoulder. My girl, I tuoi amici fiore? Clara forces a smile. Bill and Fritz, Nana. My friends. Window, Clara. Yes, Nana. Clara wheels her grandmother around back to the window, whispering to her for a moment, and then she rejoins Mike and William in the back of the room. Mike asks Clara where the bathroom is, because he thinks he needs a breather, because he feels like he's done a poor job at introducing himself to Miss Caputo and wants to wash his face. And Clara points him down the hall. After splashing his face with water, he lingers in the tiny bathroom, listening to Clara and William down the hall, outside of the room. It's getting bad, Will. It's getting bad.
It will be okay, love.
No, I don't... Well, I think I'll have to leave school. Because we can hardly afford anyone to take care of her, and she only enjoys me, I think. And I don't want to quit, but it's gonna get worse.
It will be okay.
He echoes, and Mike can hear him tracing her hair against his chest.
I'll be here for you, dear. I'll take care of you. I will. Don't fret, Clara. I'm here.
Currently, the Assurance is doting and warm. But Mike knows that if things don't stay on their new track, the Assurance is nearly a threat. A promise to break her down and ruin her life, forcing her into utter subservience. Now, though, William's words are a soft vow, and Mike wants nothing but for William to keep his new promise, just as much as he must keep his old one. Clara Caputo hates Christmas. Mike has never known this, but here it is abundantly clear. She is nothing but a ball of stress, and Mike thinks that perhaps this is the first time in her life in which she has a reassurance in the house, because Mike manages to distract her family, and William will pull her into a corner, whisper lovingly into her hair, and kiss her forehead. Clara Afton will adore Christmas, Mike thinks, because her life is quiet. But soon it will get too quiet, and she will end her life because of it. And it's not Mike's fault. It's Dad's. And Mike despises him for it. Mike watches the snow trickle outside, and Clara groans, because that means the car will get stuck in the snow, their only escape completely ruined. Before she can whine about it, though, her parents summon them to dinner. There are about a dozen people around the table, Clara's grandmother situated at the end, and people only quiet for her benefit.
Ma,
Miss Caputo says, too loudly in her mother's ear,
we're saying grace, all right? Right. Hands, everyone.
Mike jumps a bit, frantically grabbing onto William's hand, wincing a bit as he takes Clara's uncle's hand, because it's sweaty and has a bit of marinara sauce on it. They say grace. The loudest grace there's ever been, and a booming amen makes Mike think that perhaps his eardrums will burst if he spends more than a week here. The food, at least, is heavenly. Mike hasn't had such a good meal in his entire life, he thinks, with courses of pasta and salad and every cheese known to man gracing the table. So, Mr. Caputo says, clearing his throat, banging a fist on the table. Bill. Fred.
Fritz,
Clara corrects, and Mike pales at being mistaken for the thing that killed his brother. Which one of you is dating my daughter? William raises his hand. So? What are you going to say for yourself to make sure we don't castrate you?
Dad.
What? Mr. Caputo retorts, laughing loudly. I'm joking. He knows I'm joking. You know I'm joking, right, Bill?
Right, sir.
William grins and says,
You ought to see the other boys on campus, and you thank God himself that she's stuck with me.
Clara's mother laughs so loudly you'd have thought William was a comedian.
Oh, Bill, what do you do?
Engineering, Miss Caputo.
Trying to engineer a way into her pants?
A crude aunt says, and a cousin laughs, and both Mr. and Mrs. Caputo yell, The hell you talking about? And Clara blushes a scarlet and cranes her head to her plate. After a few minutes, the table dissolves into incoherent conversation, and Clara audibly groans, pushing her plate away from her. After a few minutes, Clara's grandmother meekly raises her hand, and the entire table goes quiet. She says, nodding to herself.
Dove Lucia?
Clara frowns, but then she forces a smile.
Nana, he's at the butcher. He'll be back soon, okay?
Nana beams and picks at her pasta. And after a few seconds of silence, the table devolves once more into loud, incoherent conversation. Some talking about politics, some about sports, some about nothing at all.
I need air,
Clara softly proclaims, and she stands from the table, no one aiming to stop her. William stands and rushes after her, and Mike mirrors this, and no one protests. Clara is leaning against the island of the kitchen, and she rests her head on Will's chest.
I'm tired.
She mutters.
All I do is take care of everything, and I'm tired.
I know, love.
William arches his neck and looks to the window, and he grins softly to himself.
Come on now. Grab your coat.
Clara looks suspicious, but William tugs her along, opening the front door, a brisk breeze wafting through the house. Mike puts his coat on and follows them. A few inches of snow have accumulated, and the second Mike steps outside, he's pelted by the cold whiteness. Clara yelps as William reveals himself, and a snowball once more loaded into his hand.
Fight or die?
He challenges, and Mike's eyes widen as he jumps into a nearby embankment of snow, hurriedly crafting a snowball and jumping to his feet, ready to attack. There's no one in his line of sight, though, and his shoulders sag as he examines his blurred surroundings. Then he yelps as Clara smothers him with snow, and he nearly collapses onto his knees before he manages to launch his snowball at William's figure behind them. William pantomimes being struck by an arrow, collapsing onto the snow.
I fear I will only live if the loveliest woman bequeaths me with a kiss.
Eat shit, she retorts, and she grabs snow and launches it onto Will's chest, and he sputters it up, grabbing her waist and throwing her into a pile of snow. And they roll on the snow together, and Mike takes the opportunity to get a leg up on them and pelt them both with several snowballs in succession. And he starkly remembers the last time he had played in the snow was with Liz, Evan, and Charlotte. And with a stark, happy memory from his childhood, he begins to laugh.
Oh, he thinks he's winning, does he?
William's hair is soaked in melted snow, and he looks a bit sadistic as he piles snow into his hands, cackling a bit as he approaches Mike with his weapons.
Last word, Smith?
Fuck you. Yeah, I'll go with that.
He shrieks as snow smothers him, some flicking into his throat, and Mike laughs as he counters with his own attack. And then Clara takes her snowballs and stuffs them down William's shirt, and he yelps at the intrusion and picks her up once more, and he kisses her, before he also puts snow in the front of her dress. They become exhausted after a bit longer in the snow, and they shiver their way into the house, the family's loud voice preceding their presence.
Hey, Clara, you're tracking fucking snow into the joint. Yes, Uncle Robert,
Clara says, but she's giggling. She can't seem to stop giggling, especially when William sneaks a kiss on the back of her neck. Dinner isn't as unbearable, especially when it ends soon and the three of them are allowed to go upstairs. Clara has set up a little cot on the floor for Mike, and he's a bit perturbed to be sleeping on the floor next to his young adult parents, but he doesn't have that many choices. Clara's in the bathroom when William throws on his nightshirt.
Oh, I forgot,
Mike says, and he reaches into his pack.
Merry Christmas, Will.
You didn't.
Oh, shut up.
William snorts and takes the present that Mike withdraws. He unwraps it, and it's revealed to be a paper with a drawing on it.
Sorry, I couldn't really afford to get anything nice. I don't know how to make good things like you and Hen.
Quiet, Fritz.
William breathlessly interjects. It's just a drawing of Spring Bonnie and Fredbear in their final yet-to-be-made forms. The future diner behind them.
It's wonderful.
He clears his throat and puts the paper on Clara's nightstand.
You are very talented, Fritz.
Mike pales. Were you going to say something? William furrows his brow.
No, I don't believe so. I thought your name was something else for a moment there. Tip of my tongue. Can't seem to recall, though. No matter.
He smiles.
Thank you, Fritz. It's wonderful. It's in moments like these where I don't feel sick. Not vile.
He smiles wider.
I really do think I'm going to get better, Fritz.
Me too.
Well, me too.
Clara returns to the bedroom.
Time to turn in, boys.
Yes, Mom. Mike relents, tucking into the cot. She kisses William as they settle onto the small bed. Merry Christmas, guys.
Happy Christmas, Fritz.
Merry Christmas, boys. It's a quiet night, Mike thinks. And when he falls asleep, not before he makes out Clara whispering, "I love you," and William whispers the sentiment back, there are no nightmares, just memories of snow. And if he squints through the white haze, he swears to God he can see Evan there, tugging Lizzie along, and Charlotte says, "Come on, Mikey, let's play." And even Dad is there. And he's so much kinder. And he says,
Merry Christmas, son.
and Mike's just happy. He's just so happy. And for once, when he awakens from a kind dream, he will too be greeted by a kind reality.